thank you all very much for attending. So firstly, just some quick introductions for those you don't know us. So I'm Wheal, the founder of Breedr, and yeah, excited to be talking to you tonight about the finishing contracts that we've now got in place that some of you may have seen the announcement for last week. And then, yeah, I'd like to welcome James Pemberton to our team as well, who's joined to do supply chain operations. James, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so equally excited to be here to sort of talk about our finisher contracts. I think it's some really exciting developments for the industry. My background, so I sort of started my career completely outside of farming, and then came back and held various roles as a processor. And then the past few years, I've been working on my family's sort of dairy and beef farm, growing that and sort of increasing yield and all that sort of stuff. And that's how I made the introduction to Breedr, I suppose, was using the app and the software actually on our farm to sort of drive greater efficiency and lower our cost of production and sort of keep an eye on how our beef cattle and on how our dairy replacement heifers are performing. So
yeah, no, so James, it's great to have you on, and it's always good to have a user who then joins the team. So I think you're the second one now, but yeah, it's good to good to get you on board. And so tonight, guys, we'll be going through just an overview of the finishing contracts, a bit of overview, sort of why we've gone about what we've done. But it's hopefully a bit collaborative. If you've got questions, we've got the Q&A and the chat open. So do stop us and ask questions or type questions in. There will be some stuff which I'm sure you have questions about, prices and all of that sort of stuff as we go through this. If you do and you are interested, once we get to the end of this, please yeah, put your name in the chat or just message us directly, and James and I will make sure we get in touch, because there's definitely more information than what we'll share tonight that'd be great to take you through. So with that, let me just start a bit of the presentation and go through it. So unfortunately, not a demo tonight. We'll just give a bit of an overview and some slides on Zoom. So hopefully it doesn't bore you too much. We'll try and keep it as interesting as possible. So yeah, so I think firstly, I guess, why has Breedr, ooh, just a second, which screen can you share? There we go. So firstly, I have to shut those. I'll leave the Q&A to you, James. So why did we embark on this journey? And I think from Breedr perspective, we founded 3 years ago. One of the big things we wanted to focus on was helping and supporting farmers and the British beef industry sort of with the next 5 to 10 years. And productivity was big parts of that. Also, how do we produce beef for international markets? We saw big challenges in terms of changes to BPS schemes we were just chatting about before, and also sort of dairy calves, environment, and then finally sort of brand beef, like how do we help push the beef industry into the future? And we've seen great demand during COVID, and it'd be great to keep riding that wave. And so when we founded Breedr, we thought there was big opportunity out there to produce consistent quality beef and use data to help farmers get the most from their beef production, but also an opportunity for farmers to use that data to help validate what they're doing and what they're producing and get better contracts on the back of that. And so one of the things that we have now led into, and so our vision that goes with that, is how do we increase productivity for farmers by at least 10%? So this is adding an extra £100 profit to your animals. That's our target. And we are seeing that on some farms. How do we help reduce waste? And this comes down to producing more consistent animals as well. And then obviously a longer term thing, that through being more efficient, we know that as farmers, we're always getting hit over the head about environmental impact in the beef industry. And we really want to, and we see a big opportunity to help reduce the impact that we are having, and be able to articulate that as well to other people in the supply chain. So that's sort of what we wanted to achieve. And a lot of you are now using Breedr, so this will be old news to some of you, but we did that through 4 main ways. One is sort of easy farm data, like how do we keep making that as simple as possible? And we're not perfect, and we love all the feedback we get on that, of how we can make it faster and better. How we can put that data, not just your regulatory data, but how can we put that in the hands of the farmer to be able to improve their productivity when they need it, when you're making decisions in the crush. And then really from there, that data is worth saying. It's worth saying to you as a farmer to be able to articulate what you're doing. So how can we use that data to trade, and support you with making better decisions when you're buying animals, and being able to support you with getting better contracts when it comes to marketing. And then underlying all of that, if your animals are growing, they're an asset, we believe we can release cash flow for you to smooth that cash flow. So that really is the vision. And the contracts that we've been working on have sort of come from that network of farmers that we've pulled together, and really been very supportive to get us here. Like, we're a company where they're not so much breeder farmers, but hopefully farmers that we power to make your life better. And we've seen that with a number of farmers, and big thanks to that whole community in terms of getting us to where we are. And it is a big thanks to that community that we've now been able to launch what we're sort of talking about last week, and then talking about tonight with you, is so the world's first ever data-driven supply chain contract. So the fact that you're collecting that data now lets you get a contract that you really haven't had access, and is a first for the British industry. So, but what is this? And so, from a practical sense, there's a couple of pages we'll have to describe that. So, firstly, how do we start capturing lifetime data? This is a growing requirement for the supply chains, to be able to articulate the value that's happening. How does that data become useful? All of the stuff you're doing currently for regulatory requirements, be it red tractor or your BPS and so on, like, how does this be more than just a tick the box exercise? And then also, we've combined a lot of that information that people are already putting into the app with our growth projections, and data analytics, and the ability for your farmers to now forecast when their animals are going to be ready, to be able to get a contract that gives you price certainty for the life of that animal. So that means a calf that's hitting the ground today, we can give you a certainty in terms of a minimum that you're going to get for that animal when it's ready for slaughter in the future. And that minimum, so this is specifically for finishers, that minimum lets you plan, and the minimum is above the 5-year average. It does differ by breed and breed type that are working with. So that is something you should contact us after if you want to get more details about this. And it also has a market bonus. So there's a fair deal in this for farmers. If the price does go above those minimums, there is more that farmers will gain. And we have also built it at this stage, the first one for us, very much focused on that sort of dairy cross grid. So if you're producing an O+ or an O-, there's a fairer deal again on top of that. So how have we sort of thought about this? We've, having grown up on a farm, and an old man who had to walk off a farm after the Depression, shows how old he's getting now. But one of the things that drilled into me is, how do we spread risk as a farm? How do we build some certainty? There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. And one of the things that we really wanted to do this was let farmers plan. So they know what they're going to be getting for those cattle. They can start planning their costs. They can start forward booking feed. So it builds that extra level of certainty into what you're going to get. The other thing about this contract is it is forward pricing, but we're not wanting or expecting farmers to sign up 100% of their cattle to this. In fact, we'd prefer you don't. We know that there is market fluctuations. We know that you need to be able to spread some of your risk between other things that you're doing. And at the same time, we know that from what you will have cattle that are suitable for other contracts. And so, from this, we wanted to make it a reasonable deal, and certainly hopefully support you in making decisions for some part of your business. But we also don't want to pressure you to be all of your business, because there could be times where you need that extra flexibility to make different decisions. And we'd rather have a good solid commitment from everyone than ask them to commit to something that's unreasonable. Outside of that, we obviously want to, the big part behind it is sort of, how do we help people get better? So we've already had a number of discussion groups, which a few of you have joined. We wanted to expand this out. So people who sign up, we work together to build a more efficient industry that goes with it. And if you are a finisher, you have the ability to also get an advance payment. So once cattle get booked in, or you can even book them in 60 or 90 days ahead. And when you do make that booking in, you're able to get some of that money upfront before they actually reach the slaughterhouse. So that sort of thing helps smooth cash flow through getting that advance, especially through the finishing period, which is obviously one of the most expensive in terms of feed. So it really we're trying to think about all of these stress points that we have. And again, I'm sure we haven't got it all right, but we are interested in feedback, and certainly the farmers signing up to this already, it's that peace of mind that we can join this, do the smoothing of the cash flow in terms of what you're doing. And you know, this really is eligible to people who are wanting to look at you know, the dairy bread supply chain, and also other people who may not be finishing at the moment. So I mean, James, you just want to talk a bit about sort of some of the types of farmers that we've got working with already on some of this.
Yeah, so I mean, we're sort of working with quite a broad, really, right the way from sort of the dairy farmer right the way through to finish. And on the finishing side, we can do it where it's a case of you are the finisher and you sort of take them as the weaned calf, grow them right the way through and right the way through to slaughter. But then we're also working with farmers where there's sort of the contract finishing types like the dug deers and so on, where we can help sort of facilitate that supply chain right the way through to finish and release value for each person all the way through the supply chain. So it's not just one person taking all of the value, it's properly sort of shared down the chain.
Yeah, and I suppose the opportunity there is, you know, for some people who may not have been finishers before, but they know they're good at rearing calves or growing animals to a certain weight, but you know, don't have the setup to do finishing. You know, you are able to also join this and start participating in the end price, and you can either, we will work with you to get more experience in finishing, or like in the short term, some of the best things we have is, you know, people like Doug, who you just mentioned, who can help contract finish, so they can get you that extra grade. They've got the experience in finishing, they're very good at it, and it lets you then participate in that dead weight pricing without having to set up all the infrastructure for finishing. So you know, I think there's some good opportunities in this for everyone. And you know, and also, I mean, back to sort of the price certainty, it lets you actually plan and budget on how that would work for your business. So, however, yeah, as James has already stolen my thunder, it's not just for finishers. We are having opportunities about calf rearers and growers, and we'll be talking a lot about this next week. So we have a webinar next week specifically looking at this for sort of calf rearers. But yeah, we have opportunities for both calf rearers and growers that may be already in your network, where we can work with them to place animals on their farm if they don't have the capital to be able to do it. So especially for young farmers, or if you're an established farmer, be able to free up some of your working capital so you don't have to have so much tied up in the animals. And under these, we would be paying on sort of a cost per kilo gain arrangement. So yeah, again, James, anything you'd sort of add on that one as well?
Yeah, so again, I think a lot of this is about providing certainty. So whether that's as a sort of pound per kilo where it's actually rewarding performance, or it can be sort of that fixed pound per kilo as it's leaving the rearing unit. So we can offer certainty to all stages of the supply chain, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, you know, we were speaking about discussion groups before, like this isn't just about sort of joining and staying independent. Like we want to work with everyone to help them get the most out of it. And obviously the app itself and its data analytics lets us do that with you individually. You know, people like James have obviously done a fair bit in calf rearing, and you know, next week Mel will be joining us on the webinar, who's done quite a lot in calf rearing as well. So we have sort of people to help you get started, people to help you improve, and really, you know, get the most and be rewarded for what you're doing. So that's the other side of what we're doing. So we pulled together a little bit of a video. This is the shortened version. Some of you may have seen the longer version, but I'll just quickly play that through.
Biggest challenges are, you know, we're buying at retail and selling at wholesales. We've got very little control over our sale price. And when the cattle are ready to go, you can't hold on to them for 6 months like you could if it was wheat in the shed or something. You've got to sell them.
The uncertainty in the business can result in sleepless nights and a fair bit of stress, but yeah, we love what we do, so we carry on.
Breedr is the complete livestock system. It gives you confidence when you buy. It is an easy-to-use app that helps you manage the performance and breeding of your animals all the way through their life, and it gives you price certainty when you come to sell. Capturing data through the Breedr app is easy. Our app integrates seamlessly with your existing weightheads, allowing animal data to be captured as the animal goes through the crush, driving future growth prediction models to help you know when those animals are going to be ready for sale, or if they're good or bad performing animals. This helps drive the profit of your business and improve year over year, increasing your returns.
It's brilliant that Breedr produce an app that's free so that everybody can get involved. They're properly backing farmers and moving the whole industry forward at the same time.
Animal data is just the key, basically. It's real-time data as well. It's not just sort of data that I can go sit on the computer and look at later on. It's there on the phone. So as I'm weighing cattle through, I can draft them. I'm going to have in my head straight away being able to do budgets of how many more days on farm they're going to be.
With the data, we're finding that it's shown us problems that we've been able to fix fairly rapidly and move forward with. So it's had a positive impact fairly quickly on our business. We can make decisions instantly off the data we're collecting. Using an app like Breedr is perfect for that.
When you buy cattle on Breedr, you can see the weight and health history of those animals. So you get the full credentials up front to know if those animals are going to be suitable for your farm.
With breeder trading, it's massively important for us to be able to see the data behind the cattle before we buy them, so we can get a history on that past farm performance.
At Breedr, we believe your data is valuable. And when you come to sell your animals, that data helps prove out all of the hard work and effort you've put into those animals for any prospective buyer. This enables you to move faster on trades, getting the best price for those animals, whether it's through trading online or selling with a Breedr Beef contract. Breedr Beef contracts are available for every stage of the supply chain. Whether you're a finisher, grower, or calf rearer, we can support you to build certainty into your business.
Full price contract's brilliant. It gives you confidence to go out and buy. You know your minimum selling price. You know what you can buy for to leave yourself a margin and whether to buy them or not.
Guaranteed price for our business, it takes a lot of the stress and headaches away from running our business financially. If we know cattle that we're putting into our system, we've already got an end price for, makes our lives a hell of a lot easier.
Since Christmas, we've sold all our cattle through Breedr. It's all worked seamlessly, which is good. That's what we want. Nice, easy system. We've been paid promptly, and as far as we're concerned, it's working well, and it's something we'll continue with.
At Breedr, we're more than just a technology company. We're a network of forward-thinking farmers who are working together to improve the beef industry. Through collaboration, everyone in our supply chain is producing a more consistent, high quality, and more profitable animal for those that produce them.
It gives you a network where you can learn from other farmers, being part of a discussion group, lets you share ideas, and even links you up with other people where you can buy and sell cattle through as well that you wouldn't necessarily know.
At Breedr, we're here to help you on the journey every step of the way.
Through working with Breedr, we definitely feel their passion for agriculture, and we can trust them to be with us on the journey. And they're there to back farming and improve our beef industry going forward.
So anyway, I've got to thank my wife for pulling together the video. So that I think it's been, as we see there, a few farmers that we've definitely been working with and been great supporters, and people have already been sort of getting the best of this. So again, if you want to speak to members, they may know some of those people and some of them on tonight. So thank you so much to all of those people. Yeah, I think the thing for us is, out of the back of this is how do we then, where does the real benefit come from? So obviously the certainty is a big part, but the other part is the data keeps producing animals that are more in spec, and over time that'll make this supply chain even more valuable, and the farmers that are in it be in a stronger position, because if you can start proving out you're hitting top spec, that's important from a productivity perspective by helping support getting the right genetics and the right animals as we all collaborate and move forward. Then there's an ability to produce animals that finish faster and grow faster, and therefore more profitable and don't need as much feed over their lifetime. So I think the side benefit we're starting to see is that this sort of technology and collaboration and the farmers that are working on it there is a big benefit to environmental impact in the long run, and we are now starting to see that really be recognized. And I think the opportunity for people getting on board now is to be part of that, and we really are very optimistic in terms of this sort of direction, the benefit that farmers can now prove out with the data they're doing, and also in the end articulate the value they're doing in terms of environment. So Michael, I have seen your question. I will come to that in a second. So I think from our perspective, and James has already articulated this, this really is designed to help all farmers in the chain to increase profitability. We want to be able to help people work together. We want to get the best calves into the system, working with the best dairy farmers. We want to have the best calf rearers to have the best opportunity. We're incentivizing performance and good performance. And that enables then better animals coming into growing and finishing. Through the links back down, we can actually give benchmarks on which size are doing the best. And it is important that we collaborate with dairy farmers, because the dairy farmers have that first 2 weeks life of the animal. It matters how they treat that calf at that time in the dairy bred side. And so, you know, that is another important part. So when we're working with our calf rearers, one of the biggest things we encourage is to build that relationship with the dairy farmer, because it has had a huge impact in terms of the quality of the calves that come out. And we have guiding factors that can help with making those decisions and help getting the calves where they need to be. And obviously the other side of this is we do enable people to get bonus for high welfare and performance. If you're able to grow animals faster, you will get a bonus for that. So I suppose very simply, you know, if you're not on Breedr, obviously sign up to be able to get part of it. All you need to be doing is tracking your animals and doing your weights and doing exactly what you're doing now to run your farm and improve your own productivity. That then makes you eligible for one of these contracts. And so if you want to talk to us about it more and want to get a deeper understanding of whether you think it's suitable for you, I know for some people it won't be suitable for all of you, and some of you will want to continue the way you're farming, which is absolutely fine, and absolutely fine to continue using us for tracking your animal data. So however, if it is of interest, for a percentage or a few or a number, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a percentage, but a number per month or quarter, then do give us a call. There's James's mobile on the screen, and James can stick it in the chat if you want to, and go from there.